Welcome back to LearnPianoLive.com. My name is Jamin, and as you can tell from the countdown clock, the lesson is about to get started. In case you're new with this, there's a few things I'd like to show you to help you throughout the lesson. These lessons are always guided and shaped by your questions, and if you're live with us today, there's a couple different ways you can do that. One is in the public live chat, and the other is the Ask Jamin a Question button, where you can ask me a question privately, and I won't share your identity in case you're afraid that your question is stupid. But it's not. If you're in the archives, though, then just open up the survey. At the end of that, there's a place where you can ask your question. I will say I frequently get questions from students in the archives watching a lesson from 6 months ago, and I have no idea what they're talking about. So please try to be as specific as possible. If you're watching this at LearnPianoLive.com, there should be a PDF and an MP3 button right next to this video. The PDF will often have additional video links inside so you can get more in-depth instruction on each of the topics. And if you're the kind of person who likes to print out the PDF so you can make the same notes on your physical version as I'm making during the lesson, now would be the time to do that. The MP3 is just a play-along track so you can practice more after the lesson. In traditional lessons, a teacher is going to actually present some new concept for maybe 5 or 10 minutes every couple weeks. The rest of the time is going to be spent applying and refining those concepts. Well, here I'm spouting off hours of new information every week, so it's totally unreasonable to expect you to actually absorb all of that. Instead, the goal of these live lessons is for you to find some little nugget of something that makes sense, but is a bit of a challenge, and for you to go practice it, because practice is where all the improvement's going to happen. So don't feel bad if you have to leave the live lesson and you find that little thing that you're going to practice. And of course, if I'm going too fast, you can always rewind the live lessons or replay in the archives as much as you want. If these live lessons start feeling random or meandering, it's because they are, on purpose. So if you're the kind of person who wants classical training with a step-by-step method, then you're going to want to check out Kloppel Academy on the website. It's included in your live lesson subscription, so you can do both or either. And the upper levels are seriously hard work, but it's going to take you all the way from ground zero all the way up to being ready to enter any major music college as a piano major in classical or jazz. And finally, it's most people's favorite. This is application, where we take the past concepts from other live lessons and we see how they apply to an actual real song that already exists. And since there's like 1,000 different ways to play any song, you're just going to work on the version that is appropriate for your level. So that might just mean playing one note at a time for right now. Or maybe you're working on chords or covering the full song. Or maybe you're just seeing how the song breaks down so you can better write and transcribe your own songs in the future. But whatever your level is, the goal is not this song. So even if you don't play the whole entire song, you'll get better by even attempting a little bit of it, and attempt it we shall. Cool, we'll find out what that other chord was. It's supposed to be a D. I don't know. Welcome back to LearnPianoLive.com, where we all learn together, apparently. Today we're doing When I'll Fall in Love. We're going to start at the very basics. And we don't have to know anything at all in order to at least get part of this song down. And then, even though this probably looks terribly intimidating. And then eventually we'll get into all the chords and all that stuff. We're going to start at the very beginning. Let's take it right now. We're going to start here on this one. So even if this all looks terribly, terribly scary, just know that the notes are written in for you. So you can ignore everything except for what's inside of these dots and play what's inside of these dots and say those words, and you're safe. If you don't know what notes are inside of those dots, I'll show you that right now. So this currently says B flat. We're going to learn a lot of things if you've never played piano before. The first thing we're going to learn is where in the world is a B. If we take any group of 3 black notes, like that, or like that, or like that, or like that, any group of 3 black notes, as long as you're not picking a group of 2 black notes, take any group of 3 black notes, take the middle note of that group of 3 and drag it slightly to the right, and you'll land on not a B. This right here is going to be an A, and from A, hopefully you can find B and C and D and E and F and G, and that's all you have to find, because after that, we're back to another A right here. So now you know all the letters on the entire piano. We just take that middle note in a group of 3, drag it up, we land on an A, and then we can find a B pretty easily. And so maybe that's your assignment, is just going through the piano and trying to find all of the letters and label them all, and we just leave When I Fall in Love for later on, and don't worry about it today. But if that all made sense, then you're ready for a B flat. The B flat is a note that's slightly lower than B. So if this is a B, bam, this one right here, that's a B flat. That's what the black notes are for. They're the flats and also the sharps, which I don't think we have to worry about sharps during this lesson. So B flat right there, that's our first note, and we play that one and we say the word when. All right, from here I'm going to speed up a little bit because if that didn't make sense, that's what you need to go practice, is the letters and finding the flats. And if that did make sense, you're wondering if I'm going to speed it up. Let's do. The next note is going to be an E flat, and you'd play an E flat and say the word I. And so if we count up A, B, C, D, E, that would be an E right there, finding that A and counting up. And then so that means that one right there would be an E flat. And we would play the E flat and say the word I. So we already have the first two notes of this very long song, When I. Now, this song does repeat a whole lot. So once you learn the first chunk, you know most of the song, actually. So stick with me in case you're intimidated by the length of the song. It won't be a problem. We're going to play a B flat and then an E flat, and then we're going to go up to an A flat. So don't go down to the A flat down here. We want to go up to that A flat. When I fall. They're all black notes so far. They're all flats. When I fall. Cool. And then we're going to go down to a G for the word in. We're right there. And then love is going to be an E flat. Okay, cool. So if you're live with me, you got questions about this, then let me know. If you're in the archives, you can let me know in the survey at the end of the lesson. Or right now, if you're ready to move on, let's go. When I fall in love. It'll take some practice to smooth that out. Just because you know where the notes are in your head doesn't mean your hand can do it yet. That is what it means to be a pianist, is to have things in your head that your hands can't quite do yet and be practicing on that stuff. When I fall in love. Maybe that's your assignment, is to get that phrase down. But if you have that phrase down, you actually already have It Will Be Forever, because it's the same exact notes. It Will Be Forever is the same notes, but we have an F at the end, for It Will Be Forever. And seriously, you already know a whole lot of the song. That's going to come back and repeat at least once. Yeah, twice, 3 times, something like that. Let's go down to the second line. We're already on the second line of the song. Starts out the same, or I'll is B flat to E flat. And then instead of going up to A flat like it did before, you can see it goes up to a C. So it's going to go past the A flat all the way up to this C. Never is C to B flat. And then A flat is or I'll never fall. Now, if this song feels to you like it's jumping around a lot, that's only because it's jumping around a lot. This song is abnormally leapy. It starts on a note. Usually you go to the next note over. And if you've been to the songwriting workshops, you know I usually recommend that if you want to make a melody that's singable, don't jump around a whole lot. Mostly stay stepwise. And then, of course, this song is the exception. Or I'll never fall in love. Actually, that was all stepwise there. Never fall in love. So they're all in a row there. There's just some big jumps at the beginnings of the phrases. And that is the end of the second line. So already we know a whole lot of this. Then I would recommend, if you think you've got that far down, you probably don't. You probably played through all of those notes and you successfully played all of those notes. And you're like, wow, I can play the first 2 lines. Those are not the same thing, because being able to see a note and then play a note doesn't mean that it yet sounds like music. That's what the track is for. You play the track and you see if you can go along with it. Something like this. 2, 3, 4. When if it sounds like a song, then you're ready to move on. It will be forever. Or I'll never in love. Yeah. And if you ever hear yourself playing and muttering the words, that usually means you're not ready to move on yet. You still need to keep working, because I often hear when that searching sound is the sound of don't move on yet. Keep practicing. But if you can do all of that and you're ready to move on, let's keep on going. Here we go. In A is G to A flat. Restless World Like This is going to be, I'm going to go ahead and move kind of quickly through these, assuming that you already know how to find these in your head and that all you need to do is practice with your hands. And there's not much I can do to help you with that here. You just got to do that. Restless World Like This is, do watch out for this because we haven't had one of these yet in this song. This is called a tie right here, and it's supposed to tie these two notes together. So it looks like there's two Fs there. There's not. There's one F there, and those get tied together for reasons that we don't want to get into that seem stupid, and then once you learn why they're there, you're like, oh, I guess that makes sense. We did have to do that after all. But it's kind of annoying if you're starting out because it looks like there's two Fs and you just play one. That's why there's only one word for both of those Fs because there's only one F there. Love is ended before it's begun. So that's all just G, A flat, B flat. Those three notes, and we're all done with that line. And too many moonlight. Now, right about here is where most students who've been here for, I'm going to say 20 to 30 lessons start feeling like, oh, wait, hang on, slow down. That's because your brain is full. Once your brain is full, go practice. If your brain is not full, then let's move on. And if your brain is full and you go practice, come back later and join me at this point in the lesson right here. Take note of the timestamp and then just join me in this part. Many moonlight is C, F, F, F. I'm right here looking at the music. Kisses is A flat, G. Seem too cool in the warmth of the sun. That's almost the same thing as we had before. We were going like that thing right there. Only these are these three notes. Seem too cool in the warmth of, careful, they switch it up at the very end. The sun is C to B flat. Now, let me teach you a little bit about sheet music here. This guy right here is called a repeat sign, and it's kind of like, I don't know, if you imagine that creates an arrow, those two dots in that line, that's saying go back and repeat all the stuff from before. In fact, this guy over here that we just kind of blew by and ignored, this right here is letting you know, hey, the first time you come through the song, this is what you're going to play. So we go through that, all that stuff. We come down to this repeat sign right here. We go all the way back to the very, very, very beginning. But now we are not playing the first time through. We're playing the second time through. So on the second time through, we're going to ignore all of this. Okay, so once again, what I just said was we're going to play through the song. We're going to get to the repeat sign. We're going to go back up to the top and repeat. And this time we're going to say not the words on the first line, but the words on the second line, because this is our second time through this stuff. Alrighty. So when I give my heart, it will be completely, or I'll never give my heart. Those are all the exact same notes, exact same rhythms, but now I'm paying attention to the second set of lyrics there because this is my second time through. And because this is my second time through, I'm not going to play any of this junk in the first ending, but I'm going to skip instead over it to the stuff in the second ending. All right, cool. So we learned a little bit about sheet music. That means that when I get down here, this is my second time through, I got to play Moment I Can Feel That You Feel That Way Too is When I'll Fall in Love With You, and the song is over. That's why I said back at the beginning, like if you learn this top stuff, you're actually learning a whole lot of song because it comes back and plays all of that again, that second time through. Okay, so now let's talk about that second time through. Here's our second ending. Moment I Can Feel. That's going to be Moment I Can, and this is a huge jump right here from E flat all the way up to D. Careful, there is a D right next to E flat. That is not the one that you want. Otherwise, it would look like this. D, an E flat just barely down to D. But it's not an E flat barely down to E. It's an E flat all the way up to D. Yeah, cool. And that's the one that at the beginning of the lesson did not sound right when I played it. Maybe the track is wrong. We'll check out that. Or maybe I just played it wrong. I don't know. Feel that. And then this one right here, we've got a C to a C to a C. And hopefully all those C's look different to you because it's a high C down to that C and then back up to that C. So C to C to C. That you feel. Okay, cool. That, careful, there's only one B flat here. Way, 2, we're almost done. I promise, we're almost done with the melody. And then we'll talk about the roots and the chords and whatever else for the people who are bored right now and waiting for us to get on the other stuff. All right, is an F right there. And then, when I'll fall in love. Hey, that's this thing from the beginning, yay. When I'll fall in love, 2 notes left, an F and an E flat, and then we're ready to play along with the track. Let's try it from the top. I'm gonna see if I can get rid of some of this stuff that I scribbled over, because now I wish it wasn't there. There we go. All right, with the track, try to play all the stuff that you can along with me, even if that's just the first few notes. Don't worry about any of the notes that you miss. Just try to get all the notes that you can. Here we go. 1, 2. No, try again. 1, 2, 3, 4. When I fall in love, it will be forever, or I'll never fall in love. This song was not written by a cynic. In a restless world like this is a pretty melody though. Love is ended before it's begun, and too many moonlight kisses seem too cool in the warmth of the sun. Here's that repeat sign going back up to the top with the second set of words. When I give my heart, it will be completely, or I'll never give my heart. Now we're going to skip over the first ending and go straight to the second ending after we play and the moment I can feel that you feel that way too, is when I'll fall in love with you. Yeah. Okay, cool. Now, what I did at the beginning of the lesson was I just pretty much played that with a little bit of like playing some other notes from the scale, the key of E flat, in between and stuff. But the main thing that I did was I just doubled up on the melody, and so it looked like I was playing something fancy, even though I was just playing when I'll fall, but I was playing it up here. When I'll fall, same exact notes, B flat, E flat, A flat. Hey. So it makes it sound fancier a little bit, but it's just split up a little bit. So you can try that once you have the melody down along with the track if you don't want to do the chords. And real quick, I want to show you one other thing that has really nothing to do with this song at all. But this is a blues scale, in case you're like, I tried that and that When I Fall in Love thing, and it's not working for me, and I'm going to try something else. Cool, that's great. But also try this scale right here. This right here is called an E flat blues scale. So this is E flat, G flat, A flat, A, B flat, D flat, and E flat. Those notes right there are the E flat blues scale. They're going to sound super bluesy. And if you play those notes, check out the chats here. If you play those notes right there, along with this song, it's going to sound probably inappropriate, but this would work in most songs in E flat. Let me show you, along with the track, if I throw in some bluesy notes, it would sound something like this. So this is me playing the melody plus some blues scale stuff. Or I'll
So it might not fit in wonderfully with that song, but you can kind of see how you might use this in the key of E flat. Again, has almost nothing to do with this song. I'm going to say that, and then later on when I'm improvising over this, I'm probably going to accidentally play the blues scale just because it's in my consciousness now. But anyway, if you want to keep on moving with the song and do the chords and stuff like that, let's move on to the intermediate version of this right now. So it's time to transition into the intermediate portion of the lesson. And of course, intermediate is a worthless term because we're all intermediate players. Everybody, you and I included, have people who are looking up to us, who are thinking, man, if I could play like that person, then I could call myself a real musician. And you and I both have people that we're looking up to, thinking, man, if I could play like that person, then I could call myself a real musician. So this is just the part of the lesson where you have permission, if you have found some little nugget of something that is difficult to do, but that makes sense, to take off and go practice it. Don't feel bad about that. Of course, if you want to stick around, you might pick up some extra stuff too, and we'd love to keep chatting with you. But I just want to let all of the new students know you're not supposed to try everything in every lesson. And I want to give everybody else a chance to go get something to drink and take a bathroom break. But it's time to get back to it. Let's go. Okay, yeah, I know. Unfortunately, I kind of liked it too, but it's not supposed to fit into this song. This is a ballad. Okay, so then let's talk about the chords for this thing here. I'm going to go through these quick-ish. Fortunately, a lot of these repeat because a lot of the sections repeat. But let's go ahead and just play through these in case you're feeling like, well, I can play the melody along with the track, but I wish that, like, if someone else was singing, or if I want to sing along myself, I want to be able to just play the chords. When I fall in love, forever, or So if you're wanting to play along with a vocalist or something like that, and we're also going to use the chords later on to play like a solo piano version of this, then it starts here with an E flat chord. This is this chord right here. The triangle means major 7. And then there's a 7 here. The 7, this one is kind of unnecessary, kind of redundant a little bit. If you have the triangle there, that delta thing, that just means play a regular E flat major chord, but add in the note that is half step below, 1/2 step below the root. So the root of an E flat is an E flat. The root of an A is an A, the root of a C is C. Okay, cool. So then the note that is a half step below E flat is D. So we would throw in that one right there. And that sounds terrible, except it sounds kind of cool. And also, you don't have to put it like literally right there. You can just put in any D right there. That is still a half step below the root of the chord because the root of the chord is E flat. So you can spread these out however you want. So E flat is E flat, G, B flat, and a D. Probably have E flat as the lowest note. So maybe you switch up your hands so your left hand's playing the left hand part. And we play those notes right there. And then, since your left hand is playing an E flat, you don't necessarily have to play the E flat in your right hand. You could just play this right here. This is an E flat major 7. Okay, cool. So that's called voicing. That's like deciding which notes you're going to put where, because E flat, G, B flat, and D, there's like a million trillion ways to play it on piano. The right way to play it is whichever way you can play it. So whatever makes sense to you, practice that, and then the transition between the chords is going to be the hard part. So if that's easy and that makes sense for you, cool, try that. If that's easy and that makes sense for you, then cool, try that. And then we have to transition to a C chord, which is C, E, G, and B flat, and maybe with a C in the bass, C in the left hand. Anywhere, there's no right or wrong C to play. They all just sound different. Eventually, we're going to use all of them, so practice whichever one shows up first. So an E flat major 7 to a C7, and then an F minor 7 after that is going to be an F minor with this note, which is a whole step below the root of F. So that one. That's an F minor 7, and then a B flat 7 is a B flat chord with the note that is a whole step below the root. So the note that we're going to add in is always a whole step below the root unless you see the delta sign, and that means half step below the root. Cool, which we see again right here. So we got an E flat major 7, we've already played that chord, hooray, and a C which C7, which you've already played, and an F minor 7, which you've already played, and a B flat 7. In fact, it's the same chords in the same exact order, also known as a turnaround or a 1-6-2-5, in case you've heard that before. If you haven't heard that before, cool, just leave it alone. It'll show up a million more times, and eventually you'll be curious enough to find out what it is. For right now, it doesn't matter at all, because we're trying to play When I Fall in Love. So E flat major 7 to C7 to F minor 7 to B flat 7 to E flat major 7 to C7 to F minor 7 to B flat 7. That's a lot to practice right there. That is most people's assignment at this point. Just trying to get those 4 chords on a loop. E flat C, F, B flat, E flat. Moving on to the second line, E flat 7 to an A flat 7 looks like an A flat with this 7 on there, because there's no triangle on that A flat 7, so it's not this note. That would be an A flat major 7. It's that one right there. A flat 7, D flat with this 7 right here. So that's a D flat 7. And then a C7, which we've already played before, and then an F minor 7, and then a B flat, I'm gonna leave that one out for right now. I'm gonna skip over this one. We'll come back to it. It's kind of an optional chord. To a B flat 7. Yeah, I did throw in a flat 9 on there too, so if you wanted to, you could add that note in, but that's also optional, that flat 9 thing. The B flat 7 is a big part of it, so F minor 7 to B flat 7, just like we had before. C7, F minor 7, B flat 7. It's showing up a whole lot in this song. That's because it's a 2-5, a 6-2-5. Okay, cool. That part didn't have to make sense, but if it did make sense, you're like, oh, that's cool. Okay. So then we're back to the E flat major 7. This is on the first ending is where I currently am. Moving way too fast for anyone to keep up in real time. If you didn't already know a whole lot of this stuff, if you've already played this before, then you're right with me and you're ready to move on to the D flat 7, which we've already played. Back to the E flat major 7. You'll notice on this one here, it doesn't have that 7 after it. And over here, it does have that 7 after it. That's because someone screwed up. They both mean the same exact thing. And we find a lot of that in music, especially in writing chords. There's a lot of redundancies and a lot of different ways to write the same chord over and over. So anyway, that delta means major 7. Cool. E flat major 7, and then D flat 7, and then a C7. We've played all these chords before, but transitioning between them is kind of difficult. F minor 7 to C7. And this one does have, again, that optional flat 9. You don't have to put in any of the flat 9s. If you just play the regular chord without the flat 9, it'll sound almost exactly the same. It's just an extra color tone that kind of alters the flavor of the chord just a little bit. F minor 7 to B flat 7. We've already played that before. Moving on to the second ending. I'm not going to go back up to the top and repeat that. But then we have E flat major 7. Then we have our first A flat major 7, and that's on Feel That. So A flat with a major 7, because you got that triangle on there, and this one does say triangle and then a 7, delta 7. G minor 7, I think that's our first G minor with a 7 on it. All right, checking the chat. All right, no more questions at the moment. We'll keep going. G minor 7 to C7 to F minor 7 to D flat 7, and then E flat, C, F minor 7, B flat, E flat. Yes, we've already played all of that. That once again is that 1-6-2-5. I keep saying that over and over. At the very end, if you wanted to, instead of playing an E flat major 7, you could play an E flat 6. So play that note right there, the 6 instead of the major 7, and that'd be an E flat 6 chord instead of an E flat major 7. It doesn't really matter very much at all. But now I'm going to try playing all of these chords. You're supposed to sing the melody, or at least hear the melody in your head as I say the words as we go. And this is the goal for the intermediate version, is to eventually, long time down the road, be able to play these chords in time with this track. On our mark, get set, play all the stuff that you can. If you're just still working on the melody, then don't worry about any of these chords. Just play the melody. You'll be the one person in the lesson that's actually playing the melody. Here we go. 2, 3, 4. E flat, C, F minor 7, B flat 7. It will be forever, or I'll never fall in love. How we stop this chord. Sorry, I gotta go back and catch that one. In a restless world like this is. Yeah, so a lot of people are feeling super lost right now. That's fine. Just work on that other section right up until the point that you got lost. And too many moonlight kisses with the optional flat 9 seem too cool in the warmth of the sun. Repeat sign going back to the top of the song. Woo! When I give my heart, it will be completely, or I'll never give my heart. And then this one right here is B7. In moments, I can feel that you feel that way too. D flat 7 is when I'll fall in love with E flat 6. Yeah, all right. I have kind of fallen in love with E flat 6 recently. More dependable than a human, probably. Sorry. Anyway, we'll just get back to these chords here. If there's any questions about any of that, then cool. Let me know. No, humans are great. Humans are the best. And then B7 flat 5. Let's take a look at that one real quick. So this is a B. This is a B7 because that's the 7, because that's the 1, 3, 5, and 7. So if we wanted a B7 with a flat 5, we'd have to flat the 5, which means take it down a half step. This right here is a B7 with a flat 5. That's the chord. It sounds horrific. It actually kind of sounds like a train whistle or something. But it sounds great in context because we're coming from the F minor 7 to the B, and it kind of slides into the B flat. There's several chords in here actually that are like that. Like they're really, really wrong, but they resolve so nicely that the dissonance is almost worth it. So, or I'll never fall in love. So then, this, what I'm doing right here would be something like solo piano, where we're playing the melody and the chords and the bass all at once, but that's definitely not an intermediate skill. So if you feel like you know what to practice, then cool, go practice. Otherwise, let's do the song breakdown, and then we'll talk about a solo here. So then, just taking a look at the theory behind the song, this has nothing to do with playing the song, really. This is just like the things that I think about when I see a chord sheet that looks like this. First of all, of course, we're in the key of E flat, and then we have this thing right here that keeps showing up, this 1, 6, 2, 5. And I'm not going to talk entirely about what a turnaround is, but just know that 1, 6, 2, 5, 1, 6, 2, 5, 1, 6, 2, 5, 1, 6, 2, 5. Those numbers in that order are important. It's the first chord of the scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. If we just like count these as numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, E flat to C to F to B flat is 1 to 6, 2, 5, 1, 1, 6, 2, 5, and that shows up a whole lot, especially in jazz. So 1, 6, 2, 5 is important to the song and composes a huge percentage of it. Now, there's also this thing that we do called tritone subs, and that's like where we're running into stuff like this over here, where you've got some goal chord, like a B flat. Like we want to get to a B flat, but we want to do something cool before it. And the cool thing you can do before most chords is go a half step up and then kind of land down on it. And for reasons that we won't get into right here in just a regular song breakdown, that's what's going on here is we've got the goal of B flat, and this thing right here is kind of landing on it. I feel like there's more of them. I took out some of them on purpose, but that's definitely what's going on here. D flat lands on the C. So this thing So the D flat sounds wrong when you first play it, and then it resolves so nicely that it retroactively sounds good. When you first hear it, you're like, oh, that's terrible. And then you hear the resolution, you're like, oh, I get what you were doing there. And then once you know the song, you start to anticipate that. So the D flat no longer sounds wrong if you've heard the song before, because you know it's going to resolve nicely. And it's just kind of a cool thing that's happening with some tension, extra tension there. And we have another one right here. And there were more of them too. There were some, I think there was an A before the A flat that I took out and stuff. So anyway, that's kind of what's going on there. Some tritone sub-E things. Also, this whole section right here, we might call this like the A section. And then we would call like this the B section. And then we could call this the C section. So this song goes A to B to A to C. So it's an A, B, A, C format, in case you are doing like songwriting stuff and you're paying attention to formats of songs. What else do we have in here? We got a 1-6-2-5. We got some tritone sub things going on. We talked about the form of the song, and I think that's about it for the song breakdown. I will say that at the end of old-timey songs, a lot of times you'll land on the 6 instead of the 7, and it's just a little bit less dissonant, because if you have the 7 in there, you've got the clash between the root of the chord and the major 7. And that's kind of a more, I'm going to use the word modern. Nope, I'm not going to, but you heard it. It's kind of more of a modern-ish sound if you're alive in the 60s or 70s. It's modern. This sound right here is going to be more like just restful, I think, and this one is going to be a little bit more edgy. Edgy's a better word than modern. So this one right here, the 6, is more commonly used at the ends of old-timey songs, even old-timey songs that use that dissonancy sound throughout the rest of the song. Just for that extra rest, you'll get the 6 at the end of the song. So if you're trying some other songs, you might want to try using a 6 at the end instead of a 7, or even throw it onto a regular triad. Like if you're just playing on an E flat, you could throw in a 6 there. Okay, that's going to be the end of our song breakdown, and now we're going to talk about solo piano on this thing. Whew. Hopefully something has made sense so far, because getting into the advanced portion of the lesson, I usually don't even know what's coming up next. So this is just the time where we answer any obscure question, we follow any crazy idea that comes up, and we find out how deep this rabbit hole goes. Good luck to us all. All right, friends, let's do this. Oh, we didn't change to the advanced. There we go. All right, so then what we're gonna do is play the melody like we did before. We're gonna try to play the chords in the middle, but that's less important than making sure we get the bass line down. So probably step number 1 on solo piano stuff is gonna be a little bit easier than the intermediate stuff, actually, is just playing the roots of the chords. When I fall in love, it will be completely, oh, forever, whatever. And then trying to throw the melody in there. Yeah, this is gonna take a lot of practice. And then the next thing is to try to throw some chords in there. One really popular way that's pretty difficult to do, but easy to understand, is play the root and then come up and play the chord. Because you've already practiced the chord at this point in the intermediate version. And so you play the root and you come up and do that. And that makes a lot of sense, and it's really hard to do, especially when you're throwing in the melody. That's a lot of work, a lot of really fast brain work to do. So that's kind of difficult for a lot of people, but you could at least practice this thing right here without the melody, and that probably is going to be easier. That doesn't mean you can do it right now, or in an hour, or in 2 hours, or in 3 hours. If this is the first song you've tried this thing with, that's crazy, because there's a ton of chords in here. But you could do it if you just spent time maybe working on the first 2 chords. That would be a great assignment, is just try to get from that E flat to the C. You don't have to do it that fast, just at any speed, getting that nice and smooth. And then throw in the next chord. E flat to C to that sound means, yeah, we need to practice that. So that's the thing you need to practice. Okay, so getting to that F. I'm going to try to do the F without and it would sound like flat to C to F. Whew, I did it. And don't even worry about the B flat. Okay, so this is the way I want you to practice, is just the section that you can do smoothly, plus a little tiny bit on top of that, just enough to make you go, ah, because that's the stuff that you need to practice. It's the stuff that sounds like that. Cool. Alrighty. So then that is one option, and that is generally called, I'm going to say stride, but don't tell any jazz pianist that I called that stride. But it's generally accepted as something that a stride piano player could easily do. Okay, so it's in the stride genre. And so that right there could go along with the melody, or what a lot of piano players are actually already familiar with, I think from like pop music and stuff, is adding in some chord tones in the right hand. For it seems like a lot of people have already done something like E flat when I fall in love. Something like that, where you're like playing the melody, but also occasionally, where you can, throwing in notes from the chord. So at the beginning of this, we have E flat major 7. And that's our melody. As long as our melody's on top, we're safe. When I, and then technically this would be my C7 chord, but my melody is up here. So I would just leave out the C, leave out the G there. Or you could throw in, that sounds a little weird, but whatever. You know, just try to get some chord tones, even one or two of them, along with the melody. So like, when I fall, that's only 2 notes out of the chord. In love with the F minor 7 to B flat 7. That's a lot of notes. But you don't, if you rewind, actually, if you're in the archives, rewind and check out that first time that I played that just like 30 seconds ago. I didn't even play the C. I ignored the C entirely. I played this. When I fall in love. On fall, I didn't play anything from the C chord. And I don't think anybody noticed. They're like, hey, he didn't play the C chord. So that means you can leave out pretty much anything you want, especially if you're distracting people with the left hand down here. If you're playing when I fall in love. I didn't play the C or the F in my right hand there. So these are all optional notes. The most important thing is that the whole thing goes smoothly, because if you play it smoothly, you can get away with almost anything. You could get away with, let me see if I can do 2 notes. 2 notes, just the root and the melody. I think I could proudly play that on a stage, especially as an intro to this song or something like that. I'm only playing the roots and the melody, but I'm playing it like I mean it, instead of playing it like, I know this isn't the right version of this. This isn't the way this is supposed to be. Probably nobody's impressed with this. I suck. I don't even know why I'm trying this. Then it goes to an F. I'm making that sound that Jamin said. All of that stuff is going to make your song sound worse. So just slow way down. Believe in what you're doing. I'm playing it really crazy slow, but I'm playing it as if I mean it. Okay, cool. That's my pep talk for right now. Then, in reality, we would try to keep adding in more and more chord tones. And here's where I take the the proverbial meal that we've been working on. I stick it into the production oven, and I take it out during the I'm sorry, I'm trying to do the analogy where they cook something in real time, but then they like skip all the baking time and they like put in their terrible ingredients. They pull out the final product. That's what we're going to do right now. I'm going to try playing this with some of those ideas, and then we're going to try to break apart some of the stuff that I did, and then I'm going to say goodbye to you, and you're going to practice the thing from like probably 30 minutes ago that you should have left and practiced anyway, because it was difficult back then, because you're a normal human being and this stuff is hard. This is When I Fall in Love. I think I'm going to start with that intro from before. I liked that a lot, that thing. Well, there was all kinds of great and terrible stuff in there too. So, oh, I'm so sorry, Sarah. I just saw it now. Sorry. One more time. This will be shorter. Okay, yeah. So there we go. Alrighty, that's the one. Okay, cool. So that last thing was terrible. Don't do that at home. I'm not going to do that at home anymore either. Okay, so then some of the things that I did in there would be we did the diminished thing where I played like the diminished chord of the C, and then I just keep arpeggiating it. I know that one was in there. I connected some bass lines. I don't think there was actually much in there that wasn't what we already talked about in the lesson. I tried to use that one, the B7 flat 5, so you could see that. But other than that, I think it was a lot of the stuff that we already talked about, starting with just the 2 notes thing, and then a lot of practice and a lot more is needed. So I'll smooth out my stuff, you smooth out your stuff. I think until next time, it's time to go explore, mess up, have fun, work on the things that are just almost, you know? All right. See you next time.